Treasury official and Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Rattner joins us now with some charts on this minimum wage debate.
So, Steve, before we get to the charts, let's just talk generally about this for a moment. Nancy Pelosi's district, most businesses there can absorb a $15 an hour minimum wage. Joe Manchin has said clearly that businesses in West Virginia can't, that it'll cause more harm than good, that he's good with an $11 an hour minimum wage, but not a $15 an hour minimum wage. Maybe it is the conservative in me saying this, but this is just one of those issues where a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't really work as well. I'm wondering why there can't be, and what your thoughts are, why can't there be a minimum $11 an hour minimum wage nationwide, and then for larger companies that have more employees, move it up to $15 an hour, or for, if Nancy Pelosi and others want to push their states that can afford a $15, $16, $17 an hour minimum wage, that's fine. But for small business owners in West Virginia or Northwest Florida or upstate New York, that's gonna cause some real problems and going to cause some firings from people that can afford it the least right now.
Yes, Joe, that is certainly an issue. And one of the things I'm going to show you in a minute is a chart that does make clear why the politics are so difficult because of these regional disparities. And as you just said, in cities like San Francisco or New York, there's much higher costs. We pay people more anyway, and therefore raising the minimum wage has less of an impact than it would in a place like West Virginia or some of the other rural parts of the country. We've never had a variable federal minimum wage before. People have thrown out some ideas in the course of this conversation that we're having right now in the country about it, some ideas for how that could be done, but it isn't really on the table at the moment. The progressives in particular are trying to push for a uniform national minimum wage. But let me show you for a second, if I could, why we need to raise the minimum wage and why these politics are so tough. So this chart shows you on an inflation-adjusted basis, so a real basis, what the minimum wage has been. The minimum wage goes back to 1938, but if you simply go back to the early 60s, you can see that the minimum wage was substantially above the federal poverty line for a family of two with one child of $8.58 an hour. But you can see that it was comfortably above that. And then you can see in the early 80s, we started to let it drift down. And we've raised it a few times, but it has been pretty consistently since then below the federal poverty line, and now at $7.25, well below it. To your point about big companies, Joe, let me just say this. Some of the big companies are actually not the big problem. I mean, Amazon starts people at $15, Target at $15, Costco at $16. It's actually more the smaller employers, professions like housekeepers, home health aides, dishwashers, things like that. But let me also show you how badly we stand up compared to the rest of the world. And it's really quite embarrassing, actually, when you see France, Germany, the United Kingdom, Canada, Spain, essentially all the major countries of the world that report these figures have substantially higher minimum wages than we do. And guess who we are right below, actually, just below, is Slovenia, of all places. So I think it's quite embarrassing as Americans.
So you look at that, though, Steve, if we move the minimum wage up to, keeping that chart up, if we move the minimum wage up to $11 an hour, if we move the minimum wage up to $12 an hour, we'll go from worst to almost first, right?
Yes, it would put us at least in the hunt. And the idea, even at $11, we'd be behind France and Germany. And do we think that we should be less protective of our lower income workers than France and Germany? I think you could argue we should be above France and Germany. We're America. But yes, we would at least be in the hunt if we went to $11, exactly. And let me just show you this last chart, Joe,
Are you arguing, though? Let me just ask. I'm sorry, there's a delay, so I apologize,
Sure.
and then we'll get to the last chart.
No.
Please forgive me for that. But are you suggesting that you want $15 an hour, that you think we need to move to $15 an hour regardless of the problems it might cause states that aren't wealthier, states that aren't on the coasts?
I think that we should move. I think we should move over some period of time to $15. I do think that we're America, and I think that people in America deserve to be paid $15. The CBO has done a study, and yes, it would cost some jobs. I think the number was 1.4 million over 10 years. That's unfortunate, but in the great scheme of our country, that's not a lot of jobs. Yes, it would put some pressure on small business. But again, I feel like we're America, and over a period of time, we should try to get there. Maybe it's $13. Maybe it's over 6 or 7 years instead of 4 years. But I think we should be aspirational about this.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.